Alright, boys and girls, we have some more AFL trade news to, of course, talk about today. There's been a fair bit of stuff going on. Again, if you're wondering what this, red scratch around my face is, I was actually wrestling my dog. It was legitimately like Triple H versus The Undertaker back in the day. And as I was about to pin this bloke in a headlock, he just whips out the claw maneuver, which is bullshit because I don't have that maneuver. Whips out the claw maneuver and stabs me in the face. So yeah, he's sitting over there right now. Big finger to you, Brady, because now I have a hole in my face. Again, any of you are wondering what happened there, that's why. But again, we got some AFL trade news to, of course, talk about today. No more yap about that because Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera just re-signed. I mean, this is huge. And I want to talk about this in a video because it does change St Kilda quite a fair bit. It is saying that Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera has decided to stay at St Kilda. Understand the superstar Saint is set to sign a 2-year extension and become the AFL's first $2 million player. Now, again, I don't know if that will be, 2 years, $4 million, or if the first year will be like 1.8 and the second year will be 2. I'm going to assume that it's going to be 2 years, $4 million, because the reported offer from Port Adelaide was insane. There was a report saying that Port were going to offer literally the minimum of 6 years, $12 million, and that was the minimum. There were rumors that they were going to go up to like 12 years, again, 25 to 30 mil, which is insane to think. Literally insane to think. Again, I think in 2 years' time, that deal will be revisited. I also think that deal will probably be revisited with the Saints, with AFL teams being able to have players who are producing such longevity careers. It's like, yeah, I could see a team being like, look, yeah, if we offered Nasiah Wanganeen-Milera 12 years when he's 34 and it takes him to 36, look, it could bite us in the bum, but there are tons of players right now playing actually good footy at 34 to 36. It's kind of crazy to think. So, I don't know. But for the time being, let's not look too much in the future. He's a Saint for 2 years. And, of course, because this is, starting to really attract other free agents and other players through trade. Again, we know that Tom De Koning is a lock to go to St Kilda. And the reason I bring up Tom De Koning's name, because I brought it up 100 times, even though he's not come to St Kilda because of Nas, that's not the main reason. The main reason is because of the money. I mean, that's no secret. I wanted to talk about him because there was a little leak that was going around the other day of who the highest paid players are going to be next year. And from all the reports, it's actually being said that Tom De Koning's first year at St Kilda will be $1.8 million, which means that this guy's contract is going to be front-loaded like the rumors were suggesting. Again, there's a lot of players up for trade right now and, who are looking to join other teams who I would say 95% of them are going to be back-ended because the new AFL deal comes in 2031, meaning that these 5 to 7 year contracts are going to be really back-ended for the 5th, 6th, and 7th year because that's when the new AFL contract comes in with the TV deal. And again, the salary will dramatically go up, meaning players will be able to make more. But in terms of St Kilda and the situation that they are in, the reason they are front-loading is because they literally are probably the only team right now, maybe other than Richmond, who have the ability to be able to front-load players for the now because they've got so much salary cap and then back-end players for the later. Again, now that I'm saying back-end players out loud, it does kind of sound mildly inappropriate, but I'm sure you guys get what I mean. Again, I believe De Koning, again, I think he'll be a front-ended deal for St Kilda. Leah is the other one who is reportedly coming to St Kilda as well. Again, I believe he will be a front-ended deal too. Again, there's rumors that his first year might be like 900k to $1 million, but his last year on the deal could be like just the league average, which makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, it's really smart to do this right now. And when you've got all the salary cap, go and front load a bunch of players, bring them in. And yeah, that's what they're doing. De Koning, $1.8 million. He'll be the second highest paid player next year behind Nas. And you can bring in Leah. And they're still going to have so much salary caps. Again, this team is not really paying anyone at all. It is crazy. Other than Naz, he's there. He might be their only player now over $1 million on the team, and he's on $2 million. To put that into perspective, I think Melbourne have 4 players on well over $1 million now. I think Petrarca's on 1.4, Oliver's on 1.3, Pickett's new deal will be about 1.2. I think Gawn's on like 1.1. And that's not even talking about May and Lever, who reportedly had big deals as well. So, yeah, that just puts into perspective how much money Saints have. Again, there is a report going around too. And I promise this is just not an entire St Kilda video, but they're all in the news at the moment. There is a report going around too that they are extremely interested in in Liam Ryan from West Coast. Again, with the amount of salary cap they have, maybe they are looking to buy West Coast, I don't know. But a report here from Tim Watson does say they will add Liam Ryan as well. He'll move from West Coast to St Kilda. I don't know whether that has been reported or not. Again, Tim Watson, yes, that has been reported a couple times. There has been little murmurs. I talked about it on the channel previously, that Liam Ryan will be going to St Kilda. Again, I believe this is probably going to be happening. I don't think he'll be getting paid as much as what a lot of people think he will. I think the reason he's actually looking at St Kilda is because of this report by Alexia Pierce. I think that's how you, or Pessis. How the fuck do you say that name? I'm sorry, Alexia, but your name just gave me Tourette's. And again, it is saying that the Saints have tabled a 4-year contract for West Coast Premiership forward Liam Ryan. Liam still has 1 more year on his West Coast contract and is still weighing up his future. Again, Liam Ryan is turning 29, meaning by the time this deal is done, he will be about 33 years of age. Again, I typically don't like when teams give long-term contracts to small forwards, especially those who are older. Again, there's some exceptions. Pickett is a very big exception. Seth Campbell at Richmond, very big exception. They're all still young enough where it's, good to go. But I usually don't like this because a lot of small forwards, by the time they get to about 26, 27 years old, they dramatically lose speed and they turn into half the player they used to be. Again, it is a little bit different with Liam Ryan because he actually has lost a lot of his speed through, his injuries that he's had and his age. But there's actually, when you watch West Coast and you watch Liam Ryan play this year, there's actually a lot of good things to watch about his game. Again, he's never been a player who's dramatically relied on his speed. He's actually a really crafty player who will often find himself in the right spots. And again, the reason he hasn't kicked many goals this year compared to what he previously had when he's been healthy is because he hasn't had a tall forward to row from. Again, I think next year at the Saints, when they're going to have Max King and Rowan Marshall and whoever else is there, key forwards and whatnot, you're going to have someone to row from. You're going to have other players helping you in there. And I think this actually makes a whole lot of sense. Again, 4 years to me is still a little bit too long. I would go 3 years and give him till he's 32. I don't know about 4 years. That's pretty crazy. But if that's what it takes to get him out of West Coast, then you absolutely go and do it. Because he is a quality player and you can probably get him for a 2nd round pick. So I'd do that if I was them. And then again, right now you're looking at De Koning, Liam Ryan, Lee Kalia, and probably pick 7 or something like that coming to your team, which should automatically change your club next year. So we'll definitely have to wait and see on that. Again, that's all the St Kilda news. Thank God. They seem to be in absolutely everything. But again, there is a Richmond report here, which we also got to mention, because it is currently being said that 2-time Premiership Tiger Camden McIntosh has been told he won't have his contract renewed for 2026. The unrestricted free agent is keen to explore playing on elsewhere if an opportunity presents itself. Again, we knew that Richmond were unfortunately going to have to make some really tough calls at the end of this year because they've got a guaranteed 3 players are getting in the draft pick, 2, 3, and of course Louis Callaway as a father-son. Again, with that being said, there's really not a whole lot of players that you can delist and that are out of contract right now that you're not going to bring back. So there were going to be some surprise names. Again, Richmond lost 10 players last year and they lost 10 players the year before. This was the year where they weren't going to really lose many players. So I think they've unfortunately told McIntosh it's time just because he he's not even that old. He's like only 30 years old. The reality is, though, is that the position he plays and his spot in the team, and especially where Richmond have enough veterans and older players that they can afford to lose one here to put in a young player. Again, Richmond have been going a lot older as of late. They started off the year really young, but their last 5 games or so, they've been like the 13th oldest team in the game. They haven't been that young. There are 5 teams who are younger than them, but the reality is that Richmond just have so much inexperience in their young players, and the players who are older, like Tyler Young, who's like 27, has only played 15 to 20 games, even though they've been 15 to 20 very good games. There's just still a lot of inexperience at Richmond right now, and they want to start getting some games into these players. So unfortunately, not only is Camden McIntosh a lift spot, but because he's actually playing pretty good footy and has been consistent, fortunately for the Tigers, he's done that, but then unfortunately, he's taking some 18, 19-year-old spot who you desperately got to dump games into because there are just way too many inexperienced players at Richmond. Like, Richmond may have been like the 13th oldest team, meaning they're older than 5 teams, you know, when they were playing in the game against North, I think it was. But in saying that, they probably had the least games of experience by far. Like, again, Tyler Young, as I said, he's 27, hasn't even played 20 games, I don't think. Ben Miller is like 26. I don't even think he's played more than 60 games. I could be wrong on these numbers, but you guys catch what I mean. There's a lot of inexperience right now at the Tigers, and I think dumping games in these guys will only make them go up another level. So McIntosh was the one who unfortunately has been told to bite the bullet. Again, there will be teams who will be interested in McIntosh because he's actually put together a really good year. Again, one team who straight away comes to the top of my head is West Coast. They are the complete opposite of Richmond, where they are unfortunately dumping way too many games into young players who probably aren't ready and probably don't deserve it yet. Again, you can tell West Coast, they've got one of the worst leadership crises I have ever seen. Again, Oscar Allen, their literal captain, is leaving the club. You've got, you know, of course, Jack Graham, who, again, is using a homophobic slur okay? Not really. At the end of the day, to me, I don't think it's that big of a, you know, massive deal. I mean, he got his 5-game ban. That's that. But at the end of the day, you don't want your leaders getting 5-game bans for saying a word that he shouldn't be saying. Not good. Again, that's their other leader. Then you got Liam Baker, their captain, who will be their captain. He's like their only leader because Liam Duggan, I don't think his leadership's that good. And I don't think he is really that good of a player anymore too, which you've got to be leading a young team. So, yeah, I think they're looking for some leadership. They're looking for some veterans. I think McQualter will look at McIntosh. He'd be good. Again, Fremantle, I still think could use some depth on that wing and whatnot. I wouldn't even mind them going after him. There'll probably be another team or two that is looking for another veteran player, veteran piece that will go for him. I think McIntosh is actually a good player and he's a really good bloke. So teams will know that, and you can play him in multiple different positions. So he'll be looked at, I think, for sure. But again, I would love him to retire as a Tiger. But I would also love him if he wants to continue his career, to go and continue it. Again, Lynch just re-signed. At the time of making this video, Prestia has not. I don't want to talk about Prestia too much because he could re-sign at the end of this video by the time it comes out. But I do just want to point out, I think there will have been discussions on what Prestia's future is because, again, it's a very similar situation to McIntosh. He's just, I think, a bit more of a Richmond legend where they're like, oh, shit, you know? So, again, he's probably got some footy left to play in him. But, again, I'd very much like to know all your thoughts and opinions on the latest AFL trade news and whatnot. Are you guys excited for the trade period coming up in a couple months? Who do you think's going to go where? And I'd very much like to know. Subscribe to this channel for all latest sports content, news, my gaming/movie channel, which will also be getting linked down below. And go give me a follow on Instagram if you haven't already. Links for that will all be down below as well. But again, as I was saying, please make sure to leave a like, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys next time. Goodbye.